Hello everyone and welcome to yet another live stream. Hi, the Marius Hardequerty. Hi and welcome. And today, we'll be working on the video. As always. Yes, same thing, same thing. Yesterday, we've done actually a fair bit of work. We really have. Really have done a fair bit of work. And today, we're just gonna carry on, doing hopefully even more. So, hi there everyone, hi. So. Yesterday was this, let me actually, because yesterday I made some coffee and I haven't drunk it. I left it for today, so it's been just sitting on my desk the entire night. What the point is, I am so glad you asked. Pointers are a thing in programming, a concept that is like quite often over-explained, let's just say. Basically, the way a pointer works is simple. When you have your memory in storage, or in memory, or wherever, the point is you have some values saved, then you have them divided into boxes. Each box has an address, something like 0, 1, 2, 3, and then each box holds a value, something like 10, 250, or 1, or, I don't know, 20. Now, these values are the memory you store. These are the physical addresses of the boxes. So basically, when you store something, so for example, a number like 20, if you want to access it, then the way you access it is you tell your computer that you want the value that's stored in the box 3. And then your computer goes to the box with the address 3, reads the value, and takes it out. Simple as it could be. And basically, this is an address and a value that stores the address. So if you had another box, and if in that box you store number 3, then this would be the pointer. The video will explain it better, obviously, because I mean, you know, in the video there'll be all the animations ready. But that's basically what the pointer is. A pointer is a value that stores the address of another value. And yeah, that's where I plan on finishing this video. So let's keep going. Data types in practice. I do believe that this is where we finished off. Unsigned character. What's unsigned? Well, unsigned just tells a compiler we want a variable to not have a sign. So a signed char goes from negative 128, which means that right here, what we want is some numbers, which not too difficult. I have geometry nodes set up specifically for this, with them being the first ones, if I'm not mistaken. Never mind, I don't have my geometry nodes that are set up for this normally. Why? Who took my geometry nodes? My Windows is lagging a fair bit again, which is kind of worrying, but don't save, not necessary. There we go. And there we go. Now, how are we going to represent this? That's a good question. That's a damn good question. Hi, the Timeman. Alright. Can you make a video on quantum computers? I've mentioned that in the past a lot, but I don't think there's anything particularly interesting about quantum computers that I could make a video on. I don't know. Why does everyone keep telling me to like shut up when I ping people for child checkups? That's an optional rank. You can just... That's the reason. I'm not pinging everyone. That's the whole point. Like password breaking. I mean, password breaking, but that's not really interesting, Barlin, because the thing, the way... Like... There are two ways I can explain it. The basic way or the advanced way. The advanced way is too advanced, whereas the basic way is they are just fast. That's basically it. That's all you need to know. They are just fast. So, for example, if you have a password, right? Some kind of password that you want to break. I don't know, let's just do a 5-letter password. Not very secure, but for now. Then with a quantum computer, you can just try every single combination and figure out what it should be. There is also the more advanced explanation, but that would be cryptography, and that's too advanced to be interesting. That's why I don't want to make videos on quantum computers. There's just... Since when is this a thing in Blender? Oh my goodness, I am so easily distracted. Alright, let's delete all of those, unrelated. Alright, so... this is where we finished off yesterday. Hi cat and hi abovebot, hi. Now, this is where we finished off yesterday, but today we are at was type char. Unsigned. What is unsigned? Okay, so for unsigned we want to move it lower down and explain what it is. Simple as it could be. Keyframe 750, let's do 820, because why not? Move it lower down like this, increase the size. And we're going to have two of them. We're going to have unsigned char and then we're going to have a char. Why does pointer to a pointer even exist? Well, it's because why wouldn't it exist? That's a much better question. Pointer can point... pointer is a value in memory that just points to another address. That value also has an address, so obviously a pointer to a pointer exists. What's more, when you have a pointer, the whole point of it, pun intended, is that you can point to another thing without knowing its type, just by knowing its address. Which means that from the perspective of a pointer, it doesn't know if it's pointing to another pointer or a variable. That's why you can actually have a pointer to a pointer to a pointer to a pointer to a pointer, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's delete these keyframes, they are not necessary, and let's move them right.
I wish the joke, and Omori replied with a gigantic dictionary definition of a joke that covers the entire page, and I feel destroyed.
Oh, oops. Yeah. Hi, the swim. Hi, make it hi, furry.
Why does Swim always say hi to you? It's not fair. I feel out. Also, by furry, I'm guessing they mean Catman. They
Yeah,
have cat in the name,
totally.
so I assume.
What was I doing? Oh yeah, right, the thing, the animation. Funny enough, actually, when it comes to pointers that point to pointers, in my file program, I actually use some void pointers. That's a true thing. Hold on. If we go to the file format for a video, then right here in... which one was it? Oh yeah, it was file handling H. You can see that I was actually using a void pointer to store the data. The reason why is because I needed to create a struct without an array of structs without knowing what those structs would be. So basically, what I needed was... should be confidential, but I am going to work with SCP, so I need good encryption for important classified files. I don't think you should use encryption if you're going on an SCP Foundation level. I think you should just disconnect it from the internet and use physical security. With the whole chaos insurgency thing, I don't think encryption will be enough. Alright, now... okay. We have this now. The only problem is we need two of them and we need the first one to stay in place. There we go. Perfect. And then we would like to have equal sign, number equal sign binary. Or equal sign binary equal sign number, because the whole point is that we want them to represent the appropriate binaries. Right, okay, so this render animation for now. Okay, I think I finally found an angle to make this video interesting, and we might pop off a bit now. Now these can all be represented using a binary number like this. Like this. Which means that if we wanted to store all of these numbers in a single device, it's stored. That's a pretty good explanation. I'm glad I yesterday didn't drink that cup of coffee. It tastes like shit right now, but at least yesterday would have been wasted on me.
You're drinking coffee that you made yesterday.
Yeah, because I was planning gonna drink it yesterday, but I realized that like it wouldn't have hit quite as much.
I hope you stored it in the fridge and wasn't just...
It was sitting on my desk the entire time.
Amazing.
Oh, so well, you can put water overnight, but coffee you can't. Society, honestly, if anything.
One is a bit more... spoils a bit more easily.
No, my coffee is cheap, it won't spoil. Only the rich and expensive coffees spoil. Wealth corrupts.
It's spoiled coffee because it's too much money.
Exactly. Oh, piss, I forgot about the thing, the float, the double precision floating point number we had to represent. You know what, no, we're just gonna do the simplified binary. Yeah, we're just going to do the simplified binary, and that's it. Because otherwise this would be too much. Segment. Okay, this, and this. Sweet. Right? It's really easy. So that's how bits are stored in memory. Actually, data. You encode your data into numbers. You convert those numbers into bits, and then you just put them all next to each other. Okay, 818, 1818. How is everyone doing, by the way, in this fine day? Feel free to chat. I know I'm scripting, but I mean, doesn't require that much my brain power. Yeah, we're gonna do equals bits equals number, and that should be a pretty. Oh no, we need to render 256 frames for this. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Because if we don't render 256, then we won't cover every single configuration. This is fine though, however, and that's because we can just copy this. This will be just equal white. That's black equal white, then equal white, then in between them there's going to be the geometry nodes. No, these geometry nodes. There we go. Of course, I forgot about the keyframes, because why wouldn't I? Damn it. Did I mention yesterday, by the way, that I fixed the Raspberry Pi Pico, which means that we can actually get back to it today. Of course, I first need to, you know, get the work done before we can do the fun stuff. But yeah, we can actually get back to the Raspberry Pi Pico today, this time with working. I'm doing fine. Glad to hear, QWERTY. Glad to hear. Alright, then right here, what we'll have is actually not this text, only the fancy text, because we want... Press and put the keyframe. We want it to be equal to... And on the right... My blender just crashed on me. Just like that, huh? No warning, no nothing? Cool. Okay. So maybe we won't do that, I suppose. Just weird because it should have worked. Let's clear the emission. What was the problem? The problem was that I was compiling for the wrong board. I mean, obviously. In retrospect, obvious issue. That is curious that it isn't working. The switch should enable or disable the text, shouldn't it? Wait, is it enabling or disabling everything? That's tricky.
Why do I need to do mathematical calculations when I'm doing mathematical calculations? It makes no sense.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't plug in the switch right here. Why didn't you tell me? My goodness. There we go. Now it's proper good. I forgot to plug in the switch. And then emission 1. We just wanted to glow.
Berlin, I like your way of thinking.
Can I make a video on Fame with Theorem, the shitpost YouTube channel? I would. If I have time, I would. The problem is that... I mean, I might actually. I don't know, I might do it tomorrow. If I have time. I'm a bit behind. Today I made a video on the shitpost channel because I got the idea for it. I got a premonition in my sleep for that video. And then today when I woke up, I just had a bit of time. My veggies were cooking for a really long time because I set them on a bit too low of a heat. There we go. We've got this, which is exact copy of what we need.
Oh wait, I haven't seen that yet. Alright, I'm gonna go see that.
This is a little bit of a shitpost video. And then right here we're going to have the same thing except... Okay, so this is going to start at 0 and 0, and it's going to go up to 255, which will be all ones. There we go. And then this is unsigned, which means this will go from 0 to 256. And we want both of these to be linear. so that they match. And this we want to start at 0. Right, then it will end at 250. Let me just, you know what am I doing? I can just check. I have access to technology. I can just check. Just code. Hi, Deganvi. Hi, welcome. I can just check this. This is the code we have currently. Let's just comment it. Piss off with all the add-ons. Honestly, my VS Code setup is so awful. This, add a new terminal. And what we will want basically is read it as a signed char, and for int I is equal to, or actually char I is equal to 0, I is smaller than 256, I++, and then we want to print, well, we want to print, yeah, right here we need an int, because we want to print casting as a char I think that should work, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see.
Alright, I'm back.
Hi, back, I'll make it. It worked, so it's going forwards, then it's going backwards. Why is it going backwards? You know what, I'm not gonna question it. The point is, it worked, that's how it should go. Yeah, so it's from 0 to 127.
Wait, is it your new shitpost video? It says that it's not listed, but like I can still what? Yeah, never mind.
Hi, Driven Pie.
Hi. Hello.
0 to plus 120, so halfway there. 128 should be halfway there. Oops, no, wrong thing. This, and right here it should be one back. This should be 127. Then right here it should be negative 128, and then it should go up to -1. There we go. And then this all linear should give us the correct thing. Perfect. And make it, I'm going to explain what's the pointer for 7 hours and 59 minutes. I don't know what pointer is, but 7 hours and 59 minutes is a lot though. The appropriate time to explain what the pointer is.
Am I missing some context here?
Basically, well, there's the one thing that I always mention about pointers, how... First of all, the title of the stream is that pointers can be explained in less than 8 hours. But the reason why I called that is because there is like a course on YouTube which explains pointers, and it's like, I don't remember if it was 8 or 12 hours long. Which is always the reason why, in my opinion, people should never pay for courses online. If you pay for a course online, I think you're getting scammed. Always. That's my personal opinion.
How did I not see the title of the stream? Never mind.
Okay, so this is going back to the scripting and such. Interesting, Megan. Yeah, I mean, the pointers really aren't that difficult, and you will see today we working the video explains it. This into bits more than next to each other. No fancy business required, meaning that if you save a number into memory, all you effectively need to read back is the place where you should start reading, the place where you should finish reading, and the way to read it. Date type. Computer science in the making, that's awesome. I've made 2 computer science videos recently. Well, recently-ish, one of them was before the flame video, actually. But out of the last 2 videos ago, that was a computer science video. Why does everyone keep pretending as if I don't ever make... as if it's a rarity for me to make a computer science video? Y'all just don't watch them. Which means that there are a cube example. We start reading right here. Then what? The coffee just tastes like milk. Doesn't have anything in it. Which means that cube example. We start reading here.
Didn't you say that you did that?
When did I say that?
I'm pretty sure you said that you drink it with like just water.
What?
Am I dumb?
No, the opposite. Back when I used to drink like different kind of coffee, the coffee would have like a terrible taste. I would just drown it in milk. That's because it tasted like garbage, but it provided me with both caffeine and at the same time like the nutritional value of milk. And it was just a great like addition to breakfast. Well, as I mentioned, it tasted like shit, but from pragmatic point of view.
I thought that okay, then that's my brain assuming stuff without even consenting to me, because I just assumed that the only reason your coffee tasted like shit is because you did not add milk.
No. You can have good black coffee. I have drunk good black coffee in the past. A couple like months ago, I went out with a friend of mine to dinner, but I wasn't hungry, so they ordered dinner. I just ordered a cup of black coffee. It was like $4 or $5. It was really expensive, and it tasted really good. That was one of the best. That was probably one of, if not the best cup of black coffee I've ever had.
$5, like that's like almost 2 lattes in Starbucks. Holy hell!
What, $4?
Yeah, like 5. 5 is like almost 2 lattes in Starbucks.
Yeah, I thought it was expensive.
Yeah, that's hella expensive because Starbucks isn't known for being cheap. So, and it's a latte, so like way more stuff. Oh my god.
I just autism got sidetracked. I was looking at like 2 boards I have, and even though they're the same board, they're different sizes for some reason. I like coffee without milk. It's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad, but only if it's good coffee. If it's bad coffee, everyone always needs milk and sugar. If it's good coffee, then you can just drink it black, and it's really delicious. I never tried coffee. Would recommend QWERTY. It's quite yummy.
I mean, depending on age, because like I don't know if QWERTY happens to be 14, then probably not yet.
Why? Get them young. I was drinking coffee when I was 14.
Oh Jesus! I started at uni.
They started very late. I was drinking caffeinated coffee when I was 14. I like to eat coffee. Eating coffee beans. Two lattes in Starbucks cost $4 to $7. I'm assuming you said 4 to 7. No, because the second one was an and.
Well, what, like, at least where I live, one latte in Starbucks is like less than $3, so the $5 is almost two lattes. It also depends on the size and whether you want some flavoring or something. So yeah.
The cursor being off center is really messing with me. Why is the cursor off center?
What do you mean off center?
It doesn't. It's not what it's supposed to be. I don't think it was my keyboard thing.
Is it something that's visible on stream?
Yes. There we go. I guess it was just a one-time error. What's the average age of a Make It Fun? Depends what you consider fun. Do you consider a viewer of the channel, someone who lurks in the Discord server, or someone who's one of the elites? Because for people watching the channel, I believe that the average age is around 20, I think. For people in the Discord, it would be around 17, and for the upper classes, it will be around 24, 25.
25? Oh my god.
Yeah, consider the fact that like that includes Quasar TFT.
Fair enough. But
And
still,
you're basically in the same similar range.
Yeah, but also like the scientists are okay, to be fair, like
Yeah, but the higher up you go in the food chain of Patreon, the higher the average age.
yeah, I know, but also like
and Remco and Reblax are only yellow, so we know.
alright, fair enough. But I don't know, I just automatically assume the scientists as being the higher up.
Hold on, because someone just said that. Because someone just said that 8 hours is too much. Are you sure? And I just had to reply with the Omni-Man gif. Are you sure? Jeez, oh my goodness, internet is getting to me. I need to stop using the internet. No, I can't. It's my job. Fucking hell. I boxed myself in. Damn. For y'all, it's not using the internet as a lifestyle choice. For me, it's a financial choice. Next to it, the y coordinate of the vertice. Then the z coordinates. Then if
I don't use the internet other than your server and some stuff that I watch during like lunch or something on YouTube, and that's all my internet activity.
The brain run. Yeah, there's the brain run, the Django Dragon. I'm fine. If we read next as an integer, we get the edge and so on, so forth. Make it, have you done one half the script as of now, or are you just starting? I think I've done over a half, because I mean, this is what I have, and after this chapter, all I'll need to do is just script the actual memory and addresses, and then the script should be finished. So we're actually pretty close to finishing it, which is good, because when am I supposed to upload this video? Let's see. Tomorrow. So it's good that we have the script almost finished. We have numbers describing different properties of the cube. Then if we want to save those, how old are you? That's a good question. Make it, I think you are lacking a left parentheses in the third print. You are correct. Yes, I am. I can fix that in post. I'm gonna add the parenthesis, but thank you for catching that, Misty. Thank you. I genuinely didn't catch that. Well, that is fixable because I can just add the third parenthesis to the last render, and then in editing I can just cut out the parenthesis and keep it there the entire time. So I don't need to re-render the whole thing. My goodness, that would have been a pain. But yeah, thank you for catching that, because otherwise I would have been eaten alive in the comments. The downside of making the computer science videos, just everyone needs to show how much they know. I really don't like that pretentious mindset of just having to constantly... the quote from Remco goes so hard when he said that you're using too many physics words and not enough physics sentences. That thing where people have when they want to seem smart and just keep trying their best to be perceived as the smartest person, it annoys me so much. All we need to do is just transform our mysterious number into my M key is a bit stucky. Give me a second, I need to fix stuff a bit. What's going on, buddy? What's happening? What ails you? Alright, thing fixed.
Me or the code?
I was talking to an M key on my keyboard.
Ah, alright.
See you soon, look at everyone else. I'm going to chill out and do some chemistry after lunch. Alright, bye Revan, bye, see ya.
Bye.
Well, does something ail you, Timon?
Nope. I'm just I'm just too many stuff. By too many stuff, I mean one person talking in one Discord channel and me googling some basic geometry stuff.
Cool. Just running all these into binary configurations, which we can put into memory. And once there, it's my goodness, what's happening with my M key? It's just whenever I take it out, it's fine, but then it gets stuck the second I put it back in. Bye, Moru, bye, see ya.
Bye.
Hold on, I'm losing my mind. Now stop being stuck. Still are being stuck. What's... Buddy, I'm gonna do things to you that cannot even be described by the human tongue if you do not stop acting up right now. Okay, you better behave. I already removed one key from my keyboard. I removed the lights key because it pissed me off whenever I was working at night, that the lights on my keyboard would turn off and I wouldn't see the keys, wouldn't see which keys what. So I just removed the key responsible for changing the lights. And I can do it again.
Just remove the M key.
Remove the M
You
key.
don't-
It
you
cannot
don't
behave.
need-
Yeah, lost the M privileges.
Oh yeah, it is removed. I had to Google the image where I can see your keyboard, and yeah, there's one key removed.
Yeah, there is. I'm not joshing. Yeah, I did remove it. It was pissing me off. I'm gonna do the same thing to the M key if it won't stop misbehaving.
Inside that keyboard, there wasn't a proper lighting. It didn't have lighting, but two of the keys fell out, but was still like pressable, and the material below it was white, so it was visible in very dim light, and just navigated the entire keyboard based on those two white dots when he was typing in the lab.
Okay. There we go. Now how am I supposed to segue from this into addresses? What even is this? Is that a single character? My goodness. That does not look like a single character. That looks like 3 different things in mathematics. Okay. A good stretch. Now what? Oh, we could also walk on the first chapter whilst walking on this one as well, and that's because the first chapter we have scripted, but we haven't actually finished because we scripted it later on. So, in order to do it best, we should actually open up the date types, which is memory. See how it starts. It starts like this. There we go. And this is how we would like the first chapter to end. Yes. That's what you could do. So now let's do the types of memory. Is that a reverse comma? I cannot tell what that was, Misty. Looks like a reverse comma, which is quite cursed. Alright, delete this, delete this, delete this, delete this, delete
Wait.
this.
Isn't this that little thingy that is on the bottom of like, for example, check characters? Or like stuff
Wait,
like
Timon, do you mean like when you have an A, for example, then this kind of thing?
like no, but in the like yes, like kinda like also in the bottom of an E, for example, or a C. Like,
Those are just different characters. That's not exclusively check.
Czech came to my mind because I know the like the Czech word for Pogača has that kind of character as this. Che is just the C with the tail.
That tail. You found there is a tail as a separate character?
Like yeah, also like the hat. That's also a separate character, and if you press the hat character and the like, if I type
Well,
in the
hat,
chat
yes,
hat
because I mean, because the hat, that makes sense. But I can tell you for a fact that in Polish, those are not separate characters.
but probably you can just type it in separate characters if you don't have a Polish keyboard, but you still wanna write Polish on your keyboard.
Do you have a Polish keyboard?
No.
Can you do that?
No, but I have a Hungarian keyboard that isn't even QWERTY, so... Wait,
Yeah.
I think I can do that.
I have an English keyboard.
I can do it! Yes, I can do it! It's RGR6 and then E, and I can just do it. That's how... And if I just do RGR6 and just space, then it's just the tail. But if I put an E after it, the tail gets put on the E. Yes, I can do it. The reason you okay, you said you have yeah.
No, if I just LGR6, nothing happens.
Oh, yeah, because you don't have you have QWERTY, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah, I have QWERTZ, so you probably have to look for the tail somewhere else, but you might actually have a tail character somewhere.
I've never in my life used the tail character.
But wait, I was totally not paying attention to you, so do you have an English or a Polish keyboard?
I think an English one.
Then you should have a tail character.
Oh yeah, no wait, I do have an English one. Yes, that's because when I got my laptop, it by default came with the Polish keyboard, and I was so fucking confused. Like the at symbol is in the bottom right corner. I don't even remember where it was, but I remember it was in the bottom right corner of the keyboard, and it just confused me for days.
Yeah, I don't know where the tail character is on an English keyboard, but you should have it.
Alright, this is what we're gonna finish the animation off with. So let's put it at like 500. For now. And then...
So funny enough, on Hungarian keyboards, the enter is smaller because the top half of the enter is just taken by a letter with those thingies on top. And also there's no enter on the other side because that's also taken by letters with thingies on top and stuff like that.
Make it, I did put the tail as an Easter egg. I don't even have that on my keyboard.
You mean you don't have it? You must have. Just not the same place as us.
So this.
Can you give me a good picture on the of your keyboard?
I would need to take one. A bit busy.
Well, I can't help you.
Okay. Cool.
Pretty sure you have tail. But like I have Polish characters on my Hungarian keyboard, so your argument is invalid.
I'm wanting to use the Gable texture. I know what it's. I don't even remember. Oh yeah, that's what it was. I remember now. I'm saying there's some kind of funky way we could use this. For example, if it reaches a high enough. For example, what? It goes straight from the highest possible value to the lowest, which I could certainly use with. I could certainly use it in some way with rotations. So for example, yes I could, hue saturation value. With hue, I set this to red. There we go. Then it's continuous everywhere, despite being discontinuous when I plug the value directly. Nope, I meant face. Yes, face. Whoops. There we go. Now, I don't want a gay background though, so let's just desaturate it. Well, if I desaturate it, won't really matter, because so. Let's separate XYZ. And there we just get different zebra patterns.
Oh, you should do it too, that it's a zebra pattern, but it's a gay zebra, so the white is actually rainbow, but the black is still there.
No, because the black has to be half of the rainbow.
I mean, I'm pretty sure this is solvable. Like,
It is, but that would defeat the whole purpose of using the Gable texture. Make a zebra confirmed. You got me! Oh, damn it, you got me. Isn't that just... Isn't that just straight? The straight flag, isn't that just black and white?
I love how QWERTY thought that the gay background was worthy of a quote.
Oh, Miyaki.
Wait, what the hell? The equal sign is its own character on the English, is its own key on the English keyboard, because I
Yeah,
expected it's shift 7.
oh no, equal and plus is there, yeah.
Oh my god. I
What are
forgot
you? What are you using your characters on in Hungary? Honestly, it feels like half of your characters just don't exist. You just half of your characters are just there to play random sounds on your computers. They don't type anything in actually, and then you need to just squish the other half of the keyboard into the. Because honestly, everything fits so comfortably. You need to press like you always whenever you talk about key combinations, you always need to press like Shift, Control, Alt, Tab, L or something to I don't know type in the letter Q, something like that. When on my keyboard, just everything is there.
and your keyboard is smaller. It has
It is
objectively
also
less
smaller, yeah.
buttons.
That's like one of the smallest keyboards I've ever used. I don't know what y'all are even using in Hungary. Honestly, get better like key management because your standards are just something.
Every number character has like something for shift and something for alt gr.
Alt-GR isn't even a thing on my keyboard.
What the hell?
I just have Alt. That's it. What is Alt-GR?
It's like alt but on the right side.
Oh, right Alt. I do have two Alts, but they almost always do the same thing.
You know, they are different. Like there's alt and alt gr.
Well, that's why I said almost.
I don't even have a character that was use art. Like
What is the Alt for then?
I don't know, stuff like alt F4.
Honestly,
I
the
guess.
only actually now I think about it, I don't actually. Okay, no. In Polish settings, special characters are with Alt, if I remember correctly.
Hmm.
But since I'm doing it on an English keyboard, I don't think I actually have any combination with like normal letters that does any special characters. All I can do with letters is have them a lowercase and uppercase, and that's it. Make it. Do you have function key on my laptop? Yes. Not on my computer. I don't have a function. I have a Windows key. On my old laptop, I had Arch Linux with a Windows key, and that was hilarious. I just there was just something funny about like having Arch Linux with a Windows key. It was funny.
I think I'm just gonna send you an image of my keyboard.
Damn it! Why isn't this? Oh, is it because the light is too uniform? That might be it actually. Even there, even was uniform. I don't think it should be, but who am I to say? Ah, light was too uniform. Well, would you look at that? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be that guy, but oh well, I see. That makes sense actually. So what we want to do is we want to divide it by the norm as well. There we go. Why does the cube have limbs? Don't question me. It's part of the process, okay? Make it. Why the German wage in the video? What made you choose that one? It's in the middle of Europe. When I opened up minimum wage in Europe, it was in the middle. That's what made me choose that one. I just assume that when it comes to people watching my channel, the minimum wage that would be closest to the audience would be probably like the German one. I don't know, I'd guess.
A lot of people who watch your videos are Indian. I don't think that's...
Yeah, and also a lot of people who watch my videos are American. You know what average is? The whole point is that if I go too much one way, then it's gonna be hard to understand for the other side.
Yeah, but don't...
So, for example, if I said the Hungarian wage, then that would be way off from what Americans or Western Europeans understand as a minimum wage.
But, like, it's also how many people watch from India versus America, and also I don't like minimum wages. I have no idea how minimum wages are in America, but yeah.
It was, I think was it the lowest one, the highest one that was $50 an hour. I don't remember if it was the lowest minimum wage or the highest minimum wage. Make it clear, attract unemployed people. it's the opposites attract principle breaks with me.
Yeah,
I attract the same one.
Make it attracts unemployed people like students.
Wait, I had the add of the clamp on. That's idiotic. Defeats the whole purpose of it being -1. I'm gonna be able to find an article on Wikipedia coming from the custom combination. I don't need that though on my keyboard. I don't use that character. I wonder if I could make like a rolling one where it just keeps rolling forward with the animation. Because right here in between -1 and 2, it rolls forward once. Then I imagine it would somehow, could we somehow roll it over again? But you can copy it and paste it as an Easter egg. I guess maybe. Not too interesting of an Easter egg though. I am spending such an unnecessary amount of time on this. You know what? What am I doing? This background is good enough. We don't actually care. Let's just make it darker. There we go. It looks proper, good, solid, festive, fantastic, lovely. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna delete the cube requirement and then different types of storage. So we are going to add the cube right back, move it down. Make it, what does this mean? I don't, let's not go this way. I don't like talking about linguistics because it's always so boring. At least for me. Linguistics is such a boring thing because it's a question of, oh, why do people say stuff this way? Well, why not? Let people be people. Let them do what they want. Let people be people. Hold on, I'm busy. I'm making an autism spectrum.
I enjoy linguistics because I believe it's a fun topic, but like this is something you can just Google Translate. So like I don't know. I love talking about linguistics with Theo, but I don't use Theo as a German Google Translate.
Oh, that always happens with Reblax. Reblax got the worst because he engages. That's the problem. Whenever like he joins the stream and 17 different people just ask him to say different thing in French.
Okay, but it's fun though. Like I remember at one stream, like we talked a lot about the French language itself with Reblax. That was fun.
Yeah, but once again, everyone keeps using Reblax as just a human Google Translate.
Oh, if Reblax enjoys it, then
I think he just doesn't have it in him to say no, honestly.
although I think I would, like, if someone asked me to say something in Hungarian, I would, because it's not it's not about the meaning of stuff. It's that like people wanna, I don't know, hear me speak my native language, which can be interesting to hear, which I understand.
Oh no, whenever anyone asks me to speak Polish, I just say no. I am so anti-national. I'm too European for this.
It's not about like nationality, it's just like different languages. It doesn't have to be like about nation. Like
Timon, it doesn't have to be I don't know what to tell you, but languages are quite a national thing. I know this may come as a shock, new information, but languages tend to be quite national. Yes.
Okay, but like there are languages that are spoken in many different countries as native language. There are countries that have different languages based on areas. If the EU suddenly just joined into and morphed into one singular country, we would still have different languages, and a lot of people would have a lot of different languages. It's just like linguistics doesn't have to be about nationality. It's just a it can just be
yeah, it doesn't have to be about nationality, you know. Who needs to mention Germany in the German language, or Italy in the Italian language, or France in the French language, or I don't know, Norway in the Norwegian, England in English? Come on. Hey Timon, what language do you speak? Hungarian, is it? I assume it's completely unrelated to the place where you live, called Hungary. The name, like, let's go a bit meta-linguistically here. The name of the language isn't even the name of the language. It is just literally the description of what country it comes from. I don't know if you've noticed that. Like, languages don't have names. They are just called we just say what country they belong to.
Okay, but like there's this, I don't know.
So that sort of undermines your argument that, you know, languages aren't very national, because they kind of are.
Okay, but that's like, I don't know, saying that I don't know, saying that
Yep, go on. You can do it. I believe in you.
it's like speaking of Italian food, for example, and that, that's not good. We shouldn't speak about Italian food because that's like nationalism or what. No, it's food. No one cares about the nation. It's food.
But still,
It's
Italian
food.
cuisine is Italian. It is national.
Yeah,
That's
but,
what
like,
national means.
yeah, but like we're not talking about it because of
But there is a
national
difference
cuisine.
between national cuisine and regional cuisine.
Yeah,
Regional
I
is
know,
just
but
what's famous in the region. As such, for example, there is a thing that people eat in the part of Poland, like the southern part, that isn't really eaten anywhere else. Places that are near different seas, for example, are always famous for fishing and fish, and so on and so forth. But like national cuisine will still be national cuisine, still be national.
but like you can't like you often talk about how much you love Italian food, but then daring to talk
Yes.
about the native language of like of someone is suddenly too national. But saying that you love Italian food is not too
Yeah,
national. What do you
because
think?
Italian food is so good that it actually can get me to be national. Like, listen, if someone asks me why fascism popped off in Italy after eating Italian food, I'm not saying I would join in, but I'm saying I can understand. All right, it's trade-offs. It's always trade-offs. Make it. What are the new PC specs? They're pretty good. Hold on. AMD CPU. It was Ryzen 7, I think 7th generation, but it was like 3DX, which is the really good one, or X3D, whichever one was. So it's a really good CPU. The graphics card, I got Absol on it, to be completely fair, because it was the only one available with that CPU. I think RTX 5060, I don't know. What a wild statement to join into. Hi, Theo. Hi, how you doing? Don't mind me.
Theo,
I'm just like.
Theo, you missed you sh- you should have joined in like 5 minutes earlier. You would have loved that.
So to reiterate, I think that that Italian food is worth nationalism. I don't think the Italian language is no worth nationalism, though.
Like it's not nationalism. It's like because it's not about nations. It's about like
It
listen.
really is about. What do you mean? It's the language. It's the language of a
It's
nation.
like like I spent like 99% of the words I've ever spoken in my entire life were in Hungarian, and that's like, and I'm pretty sure that's that has affected me in some way, and it doesn't have to be anything like I could have been born in a any random place outside of Hungary with Hungarian parents, for example. Just like it's like it isn't the point of like where I live
But
or where I come from. It's
okay,
just this is the language I speak.
another thing, nationality isn't tied to geography. The whole point of nationality is that it's tied to the concept of a nation. So, for example, if you are a Hungarian who no longer lives in Hungary, you're still a Hungarian if you're going from a national point of view. That's the whole point of nationality. You can be of some nation without living in that nation.
Okay, that's true, but
And
still,
that's why I like that's like one of the reasons why I don't like nationality so much. Well, it's not that I don't like it, as in hate it. Only I'm not subscribed to it because it's very like arbitrary-ish. Where basically, where do you draw the line of when someone is a part of your nationality, where someone isn't a part?
I genuinely don't care. Like I don't care about nations. I don't care about nationality. I don't care about any of this. It's just like linguistics is fun and interesting, and it's it, it kind of affects how people speak, even if they speak a different language. So I, it's and most people in their life learn a different language from their native ones. So like, and that's why I'm like I'm not like that's why I'm using the example. Like that's why I'm saying it like this. That my native language is Hungarian, but I'm not, because that is something that affects me in ways that my pronunciation is whack and screws up my grammar and stuff like that. But I don't care for being Hungarian. Like I don't care about that. Like I don't know. I could have been of a different nation where I grew up there, but I didn't learn the native language for some goddamn reason. Yeah.
There we go. This works. No, it doesn't. Yeah, now it works. Except I done backwards. If you're born in Nazi Germany, are you a Nazi? Well, that's a question of like nationality. Where do you draw the line? I never got it because okay, so there is a sure way to draw the line of what makes you of a certain nationality, and that's basically if there's a mutual agreement between you and that nation that you are of that nationality. So basically, if you live in America, you are not necessarily an American citizen. You are only an American citizen if you think that you're an American citizen and that America recognizes you as an American citizen. To be fair, if America recognizes you as an American citizen and you don't, then America can still act as if you're a citizen, and the other way around as well. You can act as if you're an American citizen without that, but in one case that would be illegal. In the other way, it would be you just wouldn't recognize it yourself. So, like, the best definition, in my opinion, of whenever someone's of a certain nationality is when both the nation and the person acknowledge that, basically. Welcome to yet another social sciences lesson with Make It, the person that makes videos about computer science and quantum mechanics. 0.22. There we go.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, that looks good. Okay, not types on the hardware. And I'm always hard. There we go, render animation. Anyway, everyone, how is your day going? What? I'm just quoting myself because I'm vain. That's a certified make it quote. You know that saying that I always say? Oh no, sorry. On my banner it actually says "You milk them bad boys dry," which is not the right quote. Hold on, I need to find the correct quote. There we go. That's the quote. I'll have you know, I'm always hard. Despair is easy, hope is hard. And I'll have you know, I'm always hard. I've been looking at fancy minerals for 1 hour today in the museum. Ooh, what kinds? What kinds of minerals are we talking about? Alright, there we go. Then this right here. And then what? I guess I need to open multiple ones because this is ridiculous. But then this video will be different. That would be the fact that if you have 40 bits like this, then you can read as a char, then another char, then a short, then a char. Okay, so now all we need to do is just make an 40-bit long number, which the way I've set it up actually shouldn't be difficult at all. Ah, I'm getting hit with my typical morning tiredness. Come on, make it. Bear through it. And then I am pretty certain making a 40-bit long binary number shouldn't be difficult, because I do believe that all I'd have to do in order to do it would be to just... Why are you lagging so much? Stop it. There we go. Thank you. Is just... Is this rendering the entire time? Like... No, it isn't. Why are you just crashing on me? Stop that.
Another good example would be, for example, is that
Took you long enough to think of one.
I went to the toilet. So, like, for example, Hungarian nationality doesn't mean anything to me. Hungarian flag, I couldn't care less about it. Like, genuinely, I will leave the country, never look back, because I genuinely don't care. But like, when I'm angry, I will always cuss at Hungarian, even like 50 years from now. So, because that's just that's not a habit that I will ever lose. Not because of my nationality, but because of the environment I happened to grow up in.
And what's that environment? Timing? What's that environment, huh? Which part of your environment made you the way you are? Were you cussing Hungarian? Timing?
The
Yup.
Hungarian speaking environment.
I'm sorry, the Hungarian environment?
It could have been an Italian environment where people speak Hungarian for some reason. Like,
Yeah, but if it was in Italian, then people wouldn't speak Hungarian, would they now?
like it could be like, I don't know, a Hungarian district of an Italian city or something.
And then what would that district be? It would be Hungarian. The point is that the entire time, whenever you have like a scenario in which a certain group of people speaks that language, then you just simply need the presence of the original nation to be somewhere in there.
Okay, but like, let's say that a group, like, there's a group of like Hungarian district who like who have been there in Italy for quite a while now. They realize that Italian food is so much better, so they adopted that and completely lost the Hungarian food, and like just completely adopted the Italian culture and not the Hungarian one. But like, it was still easier to like speak Hungarian next to each other, so they raised the kids in Hungarian, stuff like that. So only the language stayed, and everything has changed. So they are like practically just Italian people who just happen to have a Hungarian as native language, and that would have affected my way of speaking the exact same way.
Yeah, but the language would still be hard. What are you arguing? I'm struggling to what are you arguing about exactly right now?
Good question.
What's the point you're trying to make? Because I feel like you've been so busy making that point that I don't know if you remember what point you were making in the first place.
I think something along the line that I don't have to be a nationalist to enjoy linguistics.
I didn't say no, I didn't mean it as being a nationalist. I mean it's national, which it objectively is national. That's the whole point of a language. Languages are national. That's what makes them. That's why we call it the German language or Hungarian language instead of the Central European, or instead of well,
German should fucking be called Central European. Like,
well, maybe, but the
it's not
point
just-
is that we don't divide languages based on their geographical location. We don't divide them based on ethnicity. We don't divide them based on culture. We divide them based on nationality. Which I guess you could make a case that nationality is the closest to culture in a certain way, but still, that's the point. We divide them based on nationality. So I don't see a way in which language could be non-national.
Okay, but like, American people speak English. Americans are not English people. Like,
You know why they speak English, Timon?
because they voted that against the German when they voted the national language of the country.
Maybe because they were British colonies. Maybe that's why.
War, like
Yeah.
200 years ago. Who gives a shit what they were 200 years ago?
And that's why after 200 years you have British English and you have American English. Two different kinds of English.
Still English. Okay, but
Yeah, and Norway is still Germanic. My goodness.
okay, but you could argue that like I don't
You
know.
could argue anything. You could argue that orange is an apple if you're blind. My goodness. You could argue everything. Don't go with the you could argue.
Like there are parts in Germany who barely understand each other's German, and they're still both Germany. So British English and American English have more in common than some German versus some other German, both in Germany.
Yeah, and I don't know, Czech and Polish have more in common than Hungarian and any other language. Does that mean that Czech language and Polish language is the same?
No, but you're arguing that German and is the same, and English is the same, and
Yeah? Finish your thought, come on. The reason why America still is like this closely related to English is because 200 years isn't enough time for a language to evolve this much. It still evolved a fair bit lot, but it's not enough to evolve this much. Python is my favorite language. So the point is that languages are national, which I mean, I don't see a way in. I feel like the easiest way to show that languages are national is that we just call them by the nation they come from. That's how we differentiate the languages. I don't think there is like I could go on a more deep rant about the exact mechanism of this, but I don't have to because the Hungarian language is Hungarian because of Hungary. Not because of its geographical location, not because we don't differentiate it based on geographical location, we don't differentiate it based on history, we differentiate it based on the nation that uses it.
well, except when it's like except when it's not true, like Americans with English, because they have.
But that's because the language didn't have enough time to separate, and yet even though it didn't have enough time to separate, we still call it American English and British English.
Yeah, but those are dialects. Yes, languages have dialects.
She could Hungarian make C their state language instead. Everyone should speak in C. There we go. I present to you a 40-bit. Oh my goodness, I've reached the limit of what blend I can show. It makes sense, I can only show 32 actually. Italian spoken differently in Northern South Italy. That's precisely my point. Like, so for example, if languages were based on, if we thought of languages as based on geographical location, or even better, if we thought of languages based on the differences between them, then South Italian in that case and North Italian would be considered a different language. However, they're not. That's because languages are just nationalistic. They're based on the nation. And as such, you get those really weird scenarios in which a language is, in a certain nation, you have a single language, even though it's wildly different. Because it's national. If it wasn't national, then North and South Italian would be a different language. The same in Germany. The same in any country.
Yeah, but then American English and British English would be two different languages, not two different dialects.
Have you ever heard Americans say, instead of asking someone if they speak English, asking them if they spoke American?
Yeah, but I don't care about what Americans say.
I mean, if you're using America as an example.
Okay, I can. Okay, have you heard an Austrian people say that they speak Austrian and not German?
I don't know, I've never seen an Austrian person. It just broke you. Okay, now move this way lower, like this. Make it, but in India they don't. They don't do what? Linguistic political discussion fades. It's meta-linguistic. In India, we don't have a national language. Called language based on the nation. Well, that's, in my opinion, a way more logical way to approach languages. But unfortunately, in Europe, we do treat languages by the nationality.
Well, maybe you do. I don't.
Timon, what language do you speak?
Hungarian.
Hungarian, huh? Hungarian. What's Hungary, Timon?
The shithole. Why?
Maybe you do. I don't. In order for you to not treat languages in a nationalistic fashion, you would need to not speak English, because English inherently treats them this way. What's more, I would bet solid money that Hungarian language treats them this way as well.
Yeah, but just because a language is named after something doesn't mean I should give a shit about what it's named after.
Well, you don't have to give a shit, but you should at the very least acknowledge that if, we're talking about linguistics, it is based on nationality.
But if I don't care about the nationality, then why should I care that it's based on?
Because you said that you care about linguistics. You said that that topic is interesting for you. That's why.
Yeah.
So, for example,
Yeah.
Timon, okay, imagine that you are having a conversation with someone who claims that they like physics, right? And then when you start explaining to them relativistic equations, they tell you, oh, but I don't actually, I don't know. Or even better, when you start explaining them any equations of any kind, then they all of a sudden tell you, oh, but I don't actually care about the equations. Like, okay, you may not care about the equations, that's fine. You can like physics, and that's fine. But both at the same time kind of exclude each other.
Your analogy makes absolutely no sense.
Alright, allow me to come up with a clearer one then. Imagine that you're talking with someone who claims that they, I don't know, like cooking. Okay? They say that they like cooking. But then you ask them what's their favorite way to cook. Like, do they like frying? Do they like, anything like that? And then they say, oh no, I don't actually like preparing food.
Okay, like.
Or even, or no, maybe not like. Maybe instead they say, to be more exact, I don't actually care about preparing food. Like, if you like cooking, but you don't actually care about preparing food, then what is it you actually like?
But no, that analogy still doesn't make any sense. In that, like, that's a analogy fallacy or some whatever it's called.
Okay, then let's try an even simpler one. Let's say that you have a person that says that they like to drink. And when you ask them, what kind of drinks they like most, they reply with, oh, I don't actually care about quenching my thirst. Maybe that one hits? Or should I simplify it more?
Like, all of these are the same. All of these analogies are
Yes, they are,
similar
yeah.
to each other and not related to the original topic in any way.
Okay, allow me to give you a fourth example. Let's say that you have a person who says that they like linguistics. Okay? But when presented with like an origin of a word, they say, oh yeah, I don't actually care about the origin of that word.
You can like linguistics, but not the etymology. There are a lot more to linguistics.
Okay, so
than
which
just
part of
etymology.
linguistics do you like?
Like, I personally enjoy etymology as well.
Well,
Like,
do you now? I'm gonna lose my mind.
Like, okay, personally, etymology is one of my favorite parts of linguistics, but there are so much more to it. Like, there's also like.
Did you just say
grammar
that personally
structure.
etymology is your favorite part of linguistics? Is it, Timon? Okay, allow me to give you a fifth example. Let's say that you have someone who says that etymology is their favorite part of linguistics. However, when you start talking about like the origin of words, they say that they don't actually care about that. Timon, does this analogy hit now? Maybe now it's a bit more clear. I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna have an aneurysm. I can feel a tumor forming in my brain as we speak. My neurons are just frying.
Okay. Just because I care about etymology, as in like fun facts, as that word A comes from word B, doesn't mean I necessarily care about that. The nation of like the national pride of the people who were running around when that word formed.
When I said that it's nationalistic, I mean that it comes from the nation. It stems from the concept of the nation, which it does. Not that you have to be a fascist. Those are different things. I feel like an empty vessel, honestly, at this point. Just all the life force drained out of me. No. For example, national cuisine is national. You don't have to. You don't have to say that you love Hungary because you like Hungarian food. You don't have to do all that, but you have to acknowledge. If you like etymology, you have to acknowledge the fact that the division. Actually, I don't suppose I don't know if this actually, for example, food would be of etymology. But the point is, you have to acknowledge that the division of Hungarian food versus not Hungarian food is national. It's based on nationality. If Hungarian food were made, were recognized as food of another country, of another nation, then it would no longer be Hungarian food. Because that's what divides Hungarian food from not Hungarian food. That's the only qualifying thing, whenever it is Hungarian or not. It's national. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm about to have a stroke. The reason why I'm not interested in linguistics all the time is because language is national. So how we rate it, Hungarian language, Hungarian, German is German, so on and so forth. And I am not interested in national stuff. In my opinion, this is the least interesting part of history. How nations collide with each other, fine. But internally, national stuff, that's not too interesting because that's how cultures evolved, and I think that the only way to actually appreciate the culture is to actively participate in it, and actually reading about the culture is not something I find interesting. Many people maybe do, that's fair, but I personally don't find that interesting. That's why languages aren't interesting to me. There's oh yeah, this language has this word for an apple, this language has this one, I just don't care, it's an apple.
Okay, but it's not the interesting part. It doesn't you don't have to even care about language's origin or something. You can also play linguistics on languages that were just randomly created and that evolved over time. For example, I don't know. It can be okay. One interesting part is that in Polish you don't really have words for the English the th. Yeah. Do you know how I know that? Do you know how I learned that?
I don't know, Duolingo?
No, I learned that because when you're excited, you don't say that in English. You don't say the in English when you're excited. And that's how I figured it out, and then I checked it, and oh my god, my intuition was correct. That's the fascinating part of linguistics. It doesn't have to be about nation or anything. It's just some cool stuff that impacts in the way we communicate.
There are a lot of things that I don't like about what you said. Okay, so couple of things. Have you never heard me get all ramped up next time and then say, Timon, that's the entire fucking point! Something like that. Have you never heard me say this sort of thing?
Okay, yes, I have.
I know if you notice that in the middle of that phrase, I use quite often, there is a there right before a fucking. Now, another curious thing you might notice is that you can accent a word in English using a swear word, which you cannot do in Polish. Or at the very least, I've never done it. I don't use swear words in Polish at all. Which kind of hammers away at your principle of, the way I talk in English is based on the way I was taught in Polish, because that's just simply not true. What's more, another thing you should counter for is the fact that I actually don't speak Polish very well. I speak it very poorly. The reason why is because in my head I am used to constructing sentences in English, which is another fact I've mentioned on streams a lot, is that my jokes in Polish don't land, because I cannot structure the sentence properly. And that's a big problem for me. In Polish, I'm just straight up not funny because I cannot set up jokes. Now, with that in mind, the guess that there is no D in Polish is a guess. And then you double checked it, it turned out to be accurate. However, the logic that followed you for it to be accurate didn't actually hold. And that's the problem of what happens when people make guesses with sample size of 1. That's why sample sizes are usually larger. And that is like another problem with linguistics, is that it's really easy to fit your own reasoning to the evidence provided. Which means...
I didn't say when you're angry. I said when you're excited. Like, when you're excited in a positive way, not when you're angry or lashing out. Because I know that you don't do it when you're lashing out.
Now I would need to find a clip of me getting excited on stream to prove your point wrong.
700 is a live stream, and the Minecraft base. Yeah, that's when I figured it out.
700 stream, a single live stream. Yeah, okay. It's been 110 days since I've been excited on stream. we're making. You know, it's a good average. It's a good average to keep. Once every 4 months, we have a stream where I get excited, and that's good enough. You know, we don't want to overdo it. When was I excited on this stream?
Or maybe that.
That's the one with the Minecraft server.
The 700 and wait, the 700 then. Okay, then not that, because I'm pretty sure that's not the picture you had. But like, when I organized the chests in the Minecraft base, in the original Minecraft base.
Oh, let me find something that's much easier to get excited about for me. This is actually a pretty good candidate. Because if something clicked for me in mathematics, then I would be pretty excited.
Someone to determine what it does.
Yeah, I would also prefer a live stream where I don't have to hear my own voice.
He ended. Make it as make it as allowed one excite per quarter a year. That's true. That's the rules.
Yeah, but then you end up with situations like spin or like up, down, strange.
Why is it so difficult to find a clip of me being excited? All these are the same.
Heard someone refer. Does matrix multiplication work? Like V. And actually, like if I read this just in terms of,
I'm pretty sure
like,
when I
actual
showed you
values,
the chests,
I take some
you
equity
just
term.
said you organized
And it
chests
corresponds-
like 3 times.
They just said you organized the chests.
No, you organized chests. That's what you said.
That's just grammatically incorrect. What do you mean?
Yes, exactly.
And now I refuse to
That's
believe
why-
that I
that's
said it. Hold on, I need to recheck that.
And I'm not saying that it's wrong to say grammatically incorrect shit. Like none of my sentences.
Yeah, but
ever
it's
make
just
sense.
upsetting. It's just upsetting that I would say. Hold on, where did you reorganize the chests? When was it?
When I first joined in Minecraft, like
Fucking hell, when was that?
I don't know, when I first joined streams, I guess. Way back, like
There's a few people.
I think it was stream 700 or 701 or something.
701 was me just working 5 more minutes for a video.
Mm,
Apparently I played Minecraft on streams exactly twice.
but the first time I joined in stream, I joined in the Minecraft server.
Wait, it was a really long one. I remember that. I remember it was a really long. Right here, I had the clown make it working on the video, which I mean that's just normal make it. Then
But like Cloud Make It has.
I'm so
is a
twisted.
very
That
recent thing compared to.
I'm so sick and twisted that for me, Crazy Frog is just a normal frog. So wait, it was like a 10-hour long stream. I remember the really long one for no reason.
Even I mined the entire desert. That was like age.
Ah, yeah, I remember that. All of these are long. My goodness, I stream a lot.
So it's the one with
There's no
slightly
Minecraft in this one.
better, and
Hmm. Oh, there, 702 is a 10-hour long stream. That sounds like it. There we go, that's Minecraft.
Oh,
here. Oh, another thing, Cloudflare, which is basic.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about Cloudflare. That's the one. Okay.
There are different launchers.
never mind. Then I just why
I think
still had the European.
someone's
make
been
it.
at my base.
I missed that. Yeah, I only know it up to 1.8, so.
Oh
I'll
my
be
goodness.
above
Okay, well I know up to 1.15. If you. The sign was me. Okay, but absolutely nothing else changed.
them. Alright, I'll go to the toilet.
Prox, okay. But then would be test quasi server. In comparison to what you normally
You're
would
gonna look
post,
through
I
it
mean,
in
yeah,
a
it
10-hour
looked
long
much better to
video.
just
Well, I mean, you said that was right after you organized my chest, so I imagine it was at the very beginning.
Games are always so much weaker for some reason. Well, they just, which is
Is that how angry you are at me claiming that you have made a grammatical mistake once?
Yes.
What's the IP address?
Why? I make
It's not. I'm not
grammatical
angry. I'm not angry at you. I'm just wanna see if I made that grammatical mistake.
quasi.dot.
Because that's not only a grammatical mistake. That's a very dumb grammatical mistake. There's a difference. Like there's a difference between some being I don't know saying who instead of whom, and there's a difference between just not adding a d to a sentence that clearly needs one.
Hold on, let me check.
Whitelist?
Did you when exactly did you organize chess? By the way, in the stream.
I have absolutely no idea.
Why do people forget these things so quickly?
I did!
Swimming water.
It was in January.
So what? I remember exactly what happened that day. I remember the chest I was making in a second on stream, like back here on the hill. That was my chest I made for the bottles of Bad Omen that I have never used, and I'm pretty certain is still there on the server right now.
Was broken god and BS.
I've made it once. Right here is where I killed the Ender Dragon while we're waiting for you to bring back some supplies.
Oh yeah,
Right
by
here,
that
the
time I'm pretty sure
looting.
the chests were organized.
Okay, but that might the chests were organized, you say.
Like I made those. Yes, there's a cave. Is like I made that thing inside the cave where I put the new
I'm
chest.
gonna apply them after I and
Why is this?
Hi, Melissa.
Why the hell do you care so much?
So great.
Yeah, I want to check. It's a very dumb mistake to make, and it just upsets me that if I made it,
Why?
because it's a very dumb mistake to make.
Honest. So right.
Like yesterday, I somehow added 8 plus 5, and it turned out to be 10.
You understand? English is my main language. Making this kind of
Alright,
mistake is.
I make these kinds of mistakes in Hungarian. Come on.
Yeah, some,
I mean,
I do. 5, 8,
No, I'm gonna. I wonder if you minutes now we're saying time is William Afton. Yeah, I mean the men behind the slaughter, you know.
Who the hell is William Afton?
Russian that smokes.
Did you say who the hell is William Afton?
Yes.
Fucking Gen Z.
I mean,
Are you saying you organized just before the dragon fight?
No. Probably. Probably, but yeah.
Okay, probably. I'm gonna take that as a no. And I'll see on the stream. Are you saying that was the first time you joined?
I'm pretty sure it was before I'm on the desert and I.
Okay, after then Dragon I came back. Look at the compound.
We do sticks. One wood. That's
Then
4
I was
planks,
mining
that's
the
8.
desert and I was building this thing.
Wasn't part of an
Fast students just get high.
supplies.
Then
Oh
I
my god,
began
I
the
heard my
raid.
own voice. I hate
They
my
can-
own voice.
Then back. Still at it. Oh, there we go.
But
Yeah,
you,
Found it.
yeah. The end is easier. Yes. Try with 7 I need really or just awful at it. I always die on easy difficulty. I need
A lot
hard
of gear
difficulty.
just weighs you down.
Exactly.
So right here just already organized.
yes.
The only question is, when did this happen?
21 pains. Oh, it's a pain.
Timon, I am younger than you, but even I know who William Afton is. Exactly. Timon, you should be ashamed.
No.
You don't know who William Afton is.
No, I don't.
He's the man behind the slaughter.
Yes, I agree. What do you think of the...
Acts
the
get or
14 X saying that.
don't
2 10
and don't
present.
no.
No, I was flying, that's so earlier than this. Imagine if you showed me this, I would have had to be back in the main compound, which means back. Yeah, hopefully.
A weekend.
Wait. Or what that?
I think it's tough because I couldn't get back all my stuff.
Okay, it's before 7 hours, so it's in between. It's like, okay, before 7 hours.
I could only get back my But you can
Sorry. Hold on.
all but I can still shoot
This
at
way.
them and that's a hear that chat
Fast just get you.
I just had the moment when I said "oh piss." It's nice to enjoy it from the other side.
What
Ah, piss.
are you confused about?
It is truly experience.
No, okay, so 6 hours 30. Just already there. Let's see if that's the.
Teen Titans birthdays? Okay,
what's
we
wrong
could...
with penguins of Madagascar?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, to be fair. It's just an odd reference. Okay, we can do a raid.
William Afton is the guy who died. The one that was this, I know. The one that no one does. He murdered children, alright? Like, the thing is, I'm not saying he deserved it because he murdered children. All I'm saying is that he murdered children and then those children murdered him. I feel like that's a circle.
Oh, how come...
No, I'd say that more than children, you deserve the worst possible death imaginable.
The
You
rule-
fucking deserve it.
Don't worry, he did it. Don't worry, he did it for the funsies. He did it because like he wanted immortality or something, and we all know that if you want immortality, then you need to harvest the soul of the young. So don't worry, he always comes back. That's true. But to be fair, to be fair, that was not. Wait, which death actually? No. What I was talking about wasn't a death. That was just the foreplay. I think.
Raid...
When did he die actually? My goodness, he was dying for such a long time. Decades.
Let's change course. In the other village, vegan stuff. I love it. In the odd village, I'm gonna make the odd chicken.
No, I don't around.
So
said
do
that.
so do.
You see them running around alive, but
Okay,
It's not if
620.
there'd be like emerald blocks everywhere. Oh yeah, that's
Fire mode as well. Did fire kill him? Oh no, wait, X-Men 4. Never mind, you were responding to 4. I take it back. Make it. Do you have parents? Believe it or not, that's an ongoing investigation. Probably unless how he died. They will realize how terrible it was. But at what point did he die? I don't remember when did he die. This is going on for decades.
yeah.
what?
Stuff. We need the only right to do fun. Damn it! There's one chest.
Oh, thing is, this is the spot.
Are
What have you done? What have you done now? What have you done? Did you? Oh, you organized chests! Oh, hell yeah! Oh, no
Nice
longer
check.
a complete mess. Okay, that makes. There we go. Now we're gaming. Now we are gaming. No, there's one chest missing though. A chest which we deeply need. And yeah. Yeah, there's one chest missing.
I have more chests with me, so
Hold on.
I said organized chess. That's unbelievable.
Did you? Oh, you organized chests! Oh. No. Yeah. I guess that will have to do for now.
It's unbelievable. It's such a dumb thing to say.
Actually, no, what am I doing? No, wait. This can be common,
Looking back
right?
at
Because
today's
it's
stream,
okay.
you spent solid
We need not only shiny
15
stuff.
minutes
We
looking
need
this
the,
up.
We need the pro.
Yeah, because it's such a dumb mistake to make. You organize chess. It's such a dumb mistake to make.
Stuff. We need the. We need.
That's
the
why I
stuff
wanna make
for
sure.
fixing. There we go. That's what I'm
it's so
talking
weird
about.
that it stands on one block.
Yeah, because we don't have the other one. We're missing the block.
Yep. Annoys me that I made a mistake because it's such a weird thing. Pisses me off. Should have been D chests, not chests.
wow, as if the first 20 years of your life had an effect on you.
Well, no, not really, because then right
The
afterwards
other one.
I said because we don't have any. Wait, hold on. Where's the quote?
One block.
Go. That's what I'm
It's so
talking
weird
about.
that it stands on one block.
Yeah, because we don't have the other one.
Right after it, I said because we don't have the other one. Which is how I know that I do say D even when I'm excited. It was more I said it when laughing. I just that's why I'm just upset with the mistake because it's a very dumb thing to say. So Timon, this is how in this case, once again, a bit tunnel vision because you focus on the fact that I didn't say D chess, only I said chess, and completely disregard the fact that half a second later I said we don't have the other one while laughing.
Yeah, but that's when you were the most excited, so the most instinctual, and half a second later, yeah.
And that's why I don't like stuff like most social sciences, because that's precisely the problem. You make arguments in social sciences, like for example, oh yeah, because that's when you were most excited. The same thing with psychology, where basically you make these arguments, but there is no actual proper way to check or verify them. So yeah, you have an argument that at that moment I was the most excited, and when I'm most excited, I don't say D. You have one example of that. You have one counter example which you seem to dispute because I wasn't excited enough, and that's it. Sample size 1. It's the same thing
I
that
came to
led.
the correct
It's
conclusion. Like that's how I double checked it by coming to by checking.
it coming to the correct conclusion doesn't matter. It's not how it works. It's not how science works. It came to the correct conclusion. Like It didn't really, because your conclusion was that I don't use D because I'm used to Polish, and in Polish there is no D, which is simply isn't true.
I didn't say that you're used to Polish. I said that like
Okay,
You don't
then
have
what
to
is it
use-
exactly that you say? All right.
you don't have to be like used to talk in a language to have that having had been used to that language still have an ongoing effect on you.
Could you repeat that?
You don't have to be currently being used to a language to have the fact that you have been used to that language at some point still have an effect on you. Even
You
though you're
very
not
much
used to it
still-
anymore.
You very still do, because if that in order for that language to have an effect on you, it has to be current. What you're saying is that if you've been used to it in the past, then that still has an effect on you present. But if it still has the effect on you in the present, that means you're just still used to it in the present. That's
No,
how it
okay.
works.
For example, my grandfather, his native language is Greek, but he hasn't used Greek in decades. But sometimes you can just still feel the Greek grammar on his way of speaking Hungarian.
But still, you need to be used to a language. That's what I meant by use. If you mean a different thing by use, then I suppose. But that's
Like,
precisely what I meant.
Well, he literally had.
I don't
hasn't
have
used
Polish
Greek
grammar.
in fucking decades, and it's still. And you can, and if you pay very close attention, you can still catch the effects of Greek being his native language, because it's not about the language you're used. It's not about the words you say. It's about the way that having a native language just affects the way you think of communication.
Well, but that's only if you remember that language. If you still use. So, for example, have you ever had someone who, as a kid, was I don't know, as a kid was living this in the country, and then for their entire adult life, couple of decades, they moved to another country. Have you heard them speak a language? Because they speak the new language fluently, and they just don't remember the previous one.
You're literally describing my grandfather. He moved to Hungary as a child. He was born in Greece, moved to Hungary as a child. Like, you're literally describing. And
Then
my
I don't know.
grandfather-
Everyone I've heard moving to another country usually speaks fluently the new language after like a decade.
My grandfather is listen. My grandfather is fluent in Hungarian. Like that's not an issue. Is that my grandfather is completely fluent.
Well, then what are you saying then?
Okay, everyone makes mistakes in languages. Like even if
Yeah, if you make mistakes, you're not fluent. That's like, what do you mean?
then I'm not fluent in Hungarian, I guess. No one I know is fluent in Hungarian. No matter like for a lot of people, it's practically the only language they use on a daily basis. I guess
I
no
know,
one's
Polish-
fluent in any language.
I don't know. Polish people, I know, they just don't make mistakes in Polish language because it just sounds
Or
wrong.
you just don't catch it. Like everyone makes mistakes, and that if after making that mistakes, people usually catch that they made a mistake. Like
Not really.
I guess you just don't talk to people enough.
Not. I mean,
You-
yeah, that is true. But I don't remember because the thing is, when you learn a certain language, you can inherently, like, you get that intuition for what sounds right and sounds wrong.
Yeah, I know, but like you can still make a mistake.
For
Like,
example, if I tell you that I went out and I bought 2 breads today, then that sounds wrong inherently. The reason why it sounds wrong is because bread is uncountable. So counting something that's uncountable sounds wrong. I got 2 breads or 2 waters or so on. Instead, you would say I got 2 loaves of bread or something, because loaves are actually countable. So that's something that everyone has an intuition for. And that's why it's really easy to stop yourself from making these mistakes, because I mean, it feels wrong to make them.
yeah, but like just because it's an intuition doesn't mean that you can't just have a slight short circuit in your brain for like half a second. and
Well, I
make
mean,
a
you
small
can, but that
mistake
means
and
you're
go,
not
oh my God,
fluent.
what I said just sounds so wrong, and I'm correcting myself. Like that happens all the time when you speak a language.
I mean, maybe yeah, but that means you're not fluent.
No, like everyone does it in languages they're fluent at. Like
I think if that's the case, then you're just good at speaking a language, not fluent in it.
but everyone I know in Hungary does it in Hungary.
I would like 2 slices of bread. I mean, yes, slices are countable, so we can say that. Cache, memory, storage, bulk. Oh, this is moving as well. Well, that's a bit annoying. 70. Bread count would be that's my German speaking though. No, bread doesn't make sense as a countable thing because it's a mass, right? Like that's why. It can't be countable because it's just a mass of something. Sure, baked, but still. Just like paste isn't countable, or just like water isn't countable. Where did you go? I'm assuming your internet died. Welcome
I guess
back.
I'm back.
Now, the reason why your line of reasoning with the there thing is incorrect is because you are doing not too small of a sample size, and with that you are basically like trusting your reasoning way too much. So, for example, bread, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 breads doesn't make sense. It doesn't sound right. 2 of anything doesn't sound right. However, in Polish, so I can already tell what is countable in English, what isn't countable. Even with stuff like bread, where you would think that bread inherently means loaf of bread, so it's inherently countable, but it's not. That makes sense to me. However, in Polish, the concept of countability doesn't exist.
Yes.
So, for example, in Polish, you can say, I went out and bought 2 breads.
Same in Hungarian. Yes.
But the point is that in this case, that would go like if you had me say 2 breads, and if you made the argument, oh, if make it said 2 breads, that must mean that I don't know. If I actually no, because I don't say 2 breads. That's the point. If I don't say 2 breads, then you would go with the line of thinking, oh, that means in Polish, bread also must be countable because make it isn't making that mistake. And the whole point is that it's a coin
not
flip.
making a mistake.
Or okay, so let's go with something that's
doesn't prove it.
all right. So let's go with making a mistake of something that's both exists in Polish and English. What exists both in Polish and English? Let me think. Let's say that I, on accident, actually, no, that's a hard thing to make a mistake out of. What is a mistake that I can make that works both in English and Polish? Let's say that would say something like, you did this why? So ask the question in the wrong way. Based on this, you could make an assumption that in Polish, questions go backwards, right? Questions, you ask the question at the end of the sentence.
Mhm.
However,
I could, and I would check if my assumption is correct.
but the point is that you could have that theory. You could check if your assumption is correct. However, you have a sample size of 1. That's not a good way to check if your theory is correct.
No, I would just look up Polish sentence structure in that case.
But still, sample size of 1. That's not a good way to check stuff like these.
Yeah, I know, but like I didn't do anything with sample size of 1. I did one thing. I did like, okay, I have an assumption, but it's a gosh darn sample size of 1, so I'm just gonna like Google it because like the assumption sample size on 1 is like a very silly thing to do, and I should Google it because yeah.
Mickey, I'm pretty sure some languages do that. Yeah, I think some languages do that. I can only imagine. If there is a way to do something, then probably some language in existence does that. My point is that this way of approaching linguistics is it has that sting to me. You know the famous problem of psychology, the unprovable thing, where basically like there is a large mass of theories in psychology that have been posed with very little evidence, and the mass of it and they've just been accepted, and because of that the mass is actually so large that no one has the time to go through everything in psychology to actually check if it's a real thing or not. Do you know that?
Yes.
It's a whole problem in psychology. The reason why it works like that way in psychology is because it's really easy to argue for certain things. For example, there are questioning manuals for cops, right? Police. They have different manuals that tell them how to interrogate people. And those interrogation tactics can justify any kind of gesture as either guilty or not guilty. Which means that, for example, so something simple. Let's say that that the suspect responds aggressively. That can either mean that they respond aggressively because they are confused about why they're there, in which case they would mean that they don't know why they're there, so not guilty, or it could be a sign of aggression because they are anxious that police know what they've done. So with the same exact result, you can both make a justification, you can make an argument for why that person is guilty and not guilty.
Yes, so this should like I don't know. You can make an assumption, but you shouldn't use it as proof.
Yeah, but
Like,
the problem is that then the problem is that with social sciences you make those assumptions, but then how do you prove them?
But I just googled the gosh darn the thing.
Well, how do you prove something? Just Google it. That's not a great approach, to be completely honest.
Like my theory was that you don't have the in Polish, and I can't just Google that.
No, your theory was that I slipped up, and because I'm used to speaking in Polish, I slipped up with the "de."
I didn't say that because you're used to speaking in Polish, because I know you're not.
Then why did
said
I?
it's because-
Okay, then why didn't I? Why don't I slip up? Why does me slipping up justify, like, tell you something about the Polish language then?
Because it's still your native language. Just because you don't use it anymore, like you can have not used Polish in the last decade in your life.
Okay, so
like,
what would you
ever,
call
and
that
it
if
has-
not being used to a language?
like
For example, if I'm used to English, so for me it makes sense that bread is uncountable.
mm-hmm.
That's why I was suddenly learning, I don't know, German, for example. I would still probably use bread countable regardless if use bread as uncountable regardless of how German treats it. But so then, what's the justification of like my behavior telling you stuff about Polish?
Because language isn't just memorizing a bunch of words that you can learn. It's actually affecting your brain in a way more
Okay, but how would you
integrated way of-
describe it if not being used to a language? So I can say that I have the intuition for how English works because I'm used to English.
Yeah. You okay? Then describe. Then okay. I think the problem here is that we don't have a clear definition of being used to a language. Like,
Well, being used to a language, in my opinion, would basically mean that by default, without thinking, you would use the structure of that language. So if someone wakes you up in the middle of the night and asks you a question, then if you're used to a language, you don't need to think about speaking that language, so you just automatically respond in that language. That's what I would consider being used to something.
okay. I'm pretty.
The same way as
like,
if you're used to riding a bike, then you don't think about the way you ride a bike. If
Yeah,
you're used to turning off the light after you leave the bathroom, then you don't think about it, you just automatically turn off the light. That's how I at the very least use the word used to.
then people can be used to languages that they haven't spoken in 2 decades.
Okay, so do you still think I'm used to the Polish language?
Based on this definition,
Okay,
I'm
what
guessing
is your definition of used to then?
like? Okay, if people started to talking to you in Polish, you would respond in Polish, no? Like on the street, someone came up to you speaking Polish, you could just respond in Polish,
You
no?
went really bad way, because I'm pretty certain on stream I did mention the story of how some exchange student on the street basically asked me in Polish, and I just couldn't be bothered. So I just replied with, "I'm sorry, mate, I don't speak Polish," because I couldn't be bothered to like respond.
Yeah, because you couldn't be bothered to respond.
Another thing,
didn't wanna engage
whenever a joke doesn't land for me in Polish, I just automatically default to English and just do the punchline in English. That's another thing.
Yeah, okay. Some like having more languages means that you can just have more creative humor, because like different languages allow for different kind of humor. Yes, and like
Okay, so you disregarded 3 of my examples of things that happen to me in my life in which I default to English. What kind of example would you like then?
these aren't defaulting to English.
They are defaulting to English. I think in English. What do you mean?
Okay. Even if your English is your default, yes, English is your default, but that doesn't mean you can't know other languages for.
Well, yeah, it doesn't mean that, but also Polish is not my default.
I know, but like. Okay, English isn't my default, but there are sometimes when speaking Hungarian, there are some terms that.
Okay, yeah, so
idea-
Polish and English could be my defaults at the same time. That is true. However, they're not. So what do you mean?
Okay, my default is Hungarian.
But your default doesn't really matter in this case, does it?
Okay, let me show you how.
Okay.
Like my default is Hungarian, but when there are often times when I speak in Hungarian, but I realize that the next sentence that I wanna say works way better in English, because they are very different languages and and can express very different things. So I just switch to English for one sentence, because I can express myself better in that scenario, and I do this in conversation all the time. With all my friends, we speak mostly Hungarian, but sometimes we randomly switch to English, because sometimes it's just easier to express ourselves in English, even though our default is Hungarian.
Okay, cool. How does that relate to what I just said?
Is it just because you use languages, like you can just have the structure and stuff like that, and a lot of stuff of a language in your head without like you can still have a hierarchy of languages in your head, but they're all
Yeah, Tamin, remember like 40 seconds ago when I said that yes, it is possible that I could have both Polish and English as a default? I don't. Remember when I said it? Now, do you understand what that sentence means? What that sentence means is that I am used to speaking English, and I am not used to speaking Polish. I remember the words, although my vocabulary is lacking a fair bit, but I forget the structure. I forget the flow. I forget all of these things. So now with that information in mind, I want you to realize that no, Polish isn't my backup. No, Polish isn't second in hierarchy. Polish is... I don't want to say that my Polish is about as good as my German, because I know a lot more words in Polish than German, but structure-wise, without thinking, it's similar. If I think about it, then yeah, I can speak Polish much better, but I need to actively think about it.
But like, okay, but there's my grandfather who hasn't spoken Greek in
Okay,
gosh
but like,
decades.
a quick thing, it might be a shock to you, I understand, but I'm not your grandfather, actually.
Wait,
I know,
what?
it's shocking
Wait,
news.
What?
It's shocking news, but I am actually, in fact, not your grandfather.
Am I adopted?
Who's the
I am
parent?
Batman.
Who's the parents? I was your grandfather. That would like mean that there will have to be someone in between. I love Canada. My grandfather was Chinese and my mother's Indian. There's a lot of people from Asia that just moved to Canada. This is the second person I know who've done this, which is, you know, if I had a nickel for every single time it happened, I'll have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. The point I'm making is that me making a mistake once and you guessing some properties of the Polish language was just random chance. It wasn't actually a deduction, it was just a coin flip. The fact that I made that mistake, it didn't actually tell you anything about Polish language, it was just a coincidence.
Sorry, I'm back. I get hypnotized by the GIF in the corner of the stream. Just rolling around. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess it could be, but I don't know. I feel like there's a... I don't know.
Well, you can feel whatever way you want, but the thing is, it's just, as I mentioned, it's the big problem with social sciences. People feel something works a certain way, and then imagine if in any other science you did any kind of claim based on a sample size of 1. That's not one person, that's one scenario, sample size of 1.
Yeah, you don't do that. Yeah, I didn't do that either. Because I checked if my assumption was correct. I googled it.
But that doesn't change the sample size. That's not another sample timing. So, for example, if what would be a good example of this? Hold on, something. Let's pick something. Let's pick something fun. Let's pick something crazy. For example, if my PC was crashing yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it 2 days ago? Some days ago it was crashing. And every single time it was crashing and crashing. And at one point, I just unplugged the power supply cable and plugged it into another outlet. And then I turned my PC back on and it actually wasn't crashing. Mm-hmm. So you could say that I made an assumption about what was wrong. The fact that the outlet just wasn't providing enough power. I checked it by plugging into another outlet and then my assumption was proven correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, because it wasn't crashing for 20 minutes until it crashed again. So I had a sample size of 1, which is that I had the assumption being I should plug into the other outlet. I had the sample size of 1, which is that I checked if it would crash only once, and then I did the equivalent of you googling it would be the equivalent of me just turning the PC on and it not crashing for 15 minutes.
But then it crashed in 15 minutes, so...
Yes, then it crashed, and so yes, that is the only difference. However, the underlying guess is just as garbage as if it didn't crash. That's because, as I mentioned about science really often, is that in science, you don't need to be wrong to be a bad scientist. And just because you're right, it doesn't mean you're a good scientist.
Yeah, the underlying guess was garbage because I was like making a silly little Google search based on something you said during playing Minecraft. Of course, it was like it wasn't a scientific thesis. It was like some garbage theory that I came up with during Minecraft. Like,
Okay,
don't
so
treat
you
this as a
so you say that
scientific
it's
article.
okay. So it wasn't scientific. It was just a random thing. Well, I'm glad
Yeah.
we got here in the end for you to admit that, because now going back to the thing that started it, that in that case is not linguistics, because that's not science. So going back to the original thing, you were mentioning about how etymology is your favorite thing. The actual reason why you like in linguistics is ... and you provided this example. However, now that you mentioned that it wasn't scientific, it was actually a silly little thing, we can, I think, both agree that it wasn't in linguistics in that case. And in that case, I would actually like you to finish off your sentence with a different example, since this example didn't really hold up water. Isn't it fun how if you drag on an argument long enough, you can forget what you're all arguing about? So why do you like linguistics, Timon? Because you said that that's not etymology. Well, it is etymology. You say that your favorite thing is etymology, but at the same time you said that it's not the reason. So what do you like about linguistics so much? You have a habit, Timon, of when you argue with people, you move the goalpost. So basically you start with something, some kind of claim, and then as the argument turns more and more against you, you slowly shift like what the other side has to do to debunk you. So that would be like, you start by saying, oh yeah, apples are the healthiest fruit. And then when you start losing the argument, you start saying, actually, no, I'm saying that fruits are just very healthy in general. And you slowly, like, over the course of the argument, you just keep on shifting the goalpost. Keep on shifting what you meant on the very beginning.
Do I actually do that?
Yes. Remember back when we were talking about the equation for a circle? You started with the very strong generalized equation for a circle, which was AR squared. But then when both me and Reblax at the same time tried to explain to you that this is not a generalized equation for an area of a shape, because A is meaningless in this case, then you started slowly switching the goalpost. I think you just need to be more fine with just being wrong, honestly.
I'm fine with being wrong. I just...
You see, you say that. You say everyone says that they're fine with being wrong. I mean, do you acknowledge the fact that people who aren't fine with being wrong will also say that they're fine with being wrong?
Yes.
Now, can you realize that you could be one of those people who think they're fine with being wrong, but they're actually not? And you wouldn't know it.
One thing, a few days ago, or maybe it was yesterday or something. No, it was like 2 days ago. We were like chatting in one channel, and also with more people, and also were listening in 3 people. And I said something that was factually incorrect, and someone basically said that, hey, that's factually incorrect. And then I said, then just go to the chat and say that, hey, you're fucking wrong. And they did that, like.
But there's a difference between when you're forced to admit something in the very beginning versus when you're already committed. So, in retrospect, do you think that that AR squared is a good equation for a generalized area of a shape?
No, I don't.
But you see how much you overcommitted back then. But, Timon, back then you spent 4 days defending that.
Yeah, because I genuinely thought that I was in the right. But then I realized I was not in the right. And then I wrote the whole last thing that you didn't even read.
I did read it. And in that thing, if I do remember correctly, you did say that I do believe that I remember you put it in a specific way so that so you said something along the line of, you're not right either. I remember it.
What?
I was there.
Like, no, the long thing that I asked if you read it, and you said, yeah, you started reading it, but it was too long, so you just started the live stream instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
I mean,
thing.
just taking 4 days for someone who's like a genuine mathematician, and at the same time, for someone taking 4 days to be convinced by one person who's a genuine mathematician and the other person who teaches people for a living, that's not having a mindset of easily changing your mind. That's not having an open mindset. If it takes 4 days for people to convince you, that's not an open mindset. That's a very closed one.
I'm pretty sure the moment when I actually realized that I was wrong, I just admitted to it.
Yeah, but it took me 4 days even then. That's a long ass time. And it's not 4 days of just passive. No, it was like 8 hours on the live stream. I don't know how many it was. It was a lot. You need to be more fine with changing your mind. For example, another thing. How long it took you to, for the, and this is still not a minute, the language being national part? Do you acknowledge it right now?
Not really. Like, it has
Exactly.
national aspect, but it's not inherently national.
It very much is. You
Not
don't think...
inherently. Like, yes, those topics are connected, but it's not inherently national, and I don't really care about the national part.
You cannot care about it, but I'm not asking if you care about the national part. I'm just saying, do you acknowledge that language is inherently national?
No.
Just like French language is inherently tied to the country of France. How German language is inherently tied to the country of Germany. How Hungarian language is inherently tied to the country of Hungary, and so on and so forth.
Okay, yeah, in Europe it happens to be so that the political structures that we call nation is roughly overlap with languages. It's not, but it's all not true in India, for example. And this is like,
You just got the fact that it's not true in India because someone said it in the chat. I think Berlin said it. That wasn't
pretty sure I
your
knew it.
argument from the very beginning. That was just something that Berlin said.
yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I knew it, but I didn't like. It's something that I like. You know,
You see, I don't trust you that you knew that. The thing is, your whole like way you argue, I don't think you knew that. That sounds like you more grasping to straws mid-argument.
No, I knew this because listen, I learned this in your server by talking to Indians. I learned it like a month ago or two or something like, but I didn't know it is just like didn't come to my mind.
Well, maybe you know it, but I can't trust you that you knew that because you historically have grasped to straws like these mid-argument. Remember back with the generalized equation, with your generalized equation, when Remco mentioned at one point some kind of series, and then you immediately ditched your entire argument and then started talking about, oh, actually that series works. That was another thing.
Yeah, I really liked that. I'm pretty sure that there was some argument that was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I like that argument, but I thought that like when I saw that argument, I was like, okay, that's, oh my god, that could be a more solid explanation to my argument. I'm so happy that someone has considered that, and yeah, and then I just.
Okay, that's
so
a good
sense.
that's a good example. Okay, that should show you actually what's the problem pretty well. So basically, Timon, if you have an assumption, right, a theory, or actually a model that predicts reality in some way. So for example, let's say that let's do it some kind of trivial example to explain as clearly as possible. And you can use that in the future if you find yourself in that kind of scenario. Use this. Let's say you have two people. You are the person on the left, and then you have a person on the right. Okay. And then let's say that you see a circle, whilst the other person sees a square. So classical disagreement. Okay. Now, your argument is that the object in between you two is a circle. The argument of the other person is that it's a square. Simple as it could be. If you ever find yourself in that kind of scenario in which you argue and you have your entire explanation for why the object between you two is a circle, okay, so you have an entire argument, then if you find another argument for why the object in the middle is a circle, then just because you have two arguments doesn't mean your entire claim is any more valid. Just because you have two explanations for a single thing doesn't make, you know what, I should have probably picked something a tad more concrete than a circle and a sphere.
I mean, I see what you're saying, and I was like, oh my god, like, okay, like, my excitement didn't come from some other person arguing for the same thing. My excitement came from that I found their argument logical, so I used that as well because it made sense.
Okay. I need to come up with something for some kind of example argument. Let's say that you have two plants. One of them is on the window. Okay. One of them is next to a window, so the light is shining on it, and the other plant is hidden away, covered. Now you have two people. One person saying that the covered plant will grow faster, right? So the plant without light will grow faster, and then you are arguing that the plant with light will grow faster. Those are the arguments. One person saying that the covered plant will grow faster, you are saying that the uncovered, the light plant will grow faster. If what you both do is you just wait and the uncovered plant is growing faster, or more specific, you're saying that the uncovered plant will grow faster because of the light. Because light is shining on it. Okay, so those are the things. This one is saying that the covered plant will grow faster because lack of light. You will be saying that because of light, the plant will grow faster. And then you wait a second and it turns out the plant next to a window is indeed growing faster. Were you correct?
We don't know. Maybe they, one of them just natural. They are different plants who.
Yeah. So the thing is, we don't know, but according to evidence, yes, it would appear so that you were correct because we have only one piece of evidence, and that evidence supports your claim. However, if an expert all of a sudden walked into the room and said, actually, this plant isn't growing faster because of the light. The light actually appears to be drying up the water from the air just as quickly, which means that it has no net effect. The actual reason why this plant is growing quicker is because of the pot. Then, were you correct or were you wrong?
I was wrong.
In that case, you were wrong, even though the expert explained something that in the exact same way forms your argument, that it produces the same effect as your argument. Back when we were arguing about the area thing, Remco came in and offered an alternative explanation that would produce the same effect. And you latched onto it as if it was supporting your argument when it wasn't. It produced a different explanation, not the explanation you were arguing, only a completely different one. You would have still been wrong, however, just because it was producing the same exact output as you wanted, it was supporting the same effect, you smoothed the goalpost. All of a sudden, you instantly ditched your old argument. I remember it back then because I was there and I found it so annoying. You instantly ditched your argument and instead you started pretending as if the argument that Remco made was the one you made from the very beginning.
I genuinely thought that the underlying mathematics were analogous.
But that's the problem. That's actually a great example of exactly what the problem is, because you thought, but you didn't check. Instead, you kept going and kept arguing. You see the problem? Now,
in my head, it made sense at that time.
Okay, but I want you to realize the fact that you are biased. Everyone is. So you need to acknowledge that bias. If it makes sense in your head, that's useless. That is absolutely useless.
Well, yeah, I was wrong in that argument, so it was useless.
But too late, too little to admit it now. You didn't admit it in the moment, and that is the problem. It's easy to admit stuff about arguments that happened, months ago. It's difficult to do it in the moment. So right now you can say that you were wrong all you want, you can admit to anything you want, but it's irrelevant. It's way too late for that. You should have done it back then.
The fucking second I realized that I was wrong, I admitted to it.
But it took you
It
4
took me
days.
a while, but the second I realized I was wrong, I admitted it to it.
Yeah, and I'm just saying that you need to get better at having an open mind. Because 4 days is way too long for something like that. Especially, that was mathematics, by the way. I laid out like a proof, a mathematical proof of what I was saying. I formalized it. 4 days for a mathematical equation? Like, imagine if you were arguing with someone, like, imagine that you were arguing with someone about some person saying that an integral of f of x is always equal to dy dx. Like, that's not too difficult to check because you have the underlying mathematics in it. If you were arguing with someone about this for 4 days, that's ridiculous. That's not what I would call an open mind.
Maybe I'm just dumb.
That's not being dumb. That's being unscientific. If someone is, well, depends on your definition of dumb, I suppose. But in that case, if you are dumb, wouldn't you want to stop being dumb?
Well, yes.
Yeah, then
It's kind of the whole point of learning.
yeah, then do that. Just every now, then exactly, just do that. You need
Stop
to.
being dumb. Thanks for the excellent advice.
Well, I mean, that's what I do. If I catch myself being dumb, I just stop that.
I mean, once I realized, I tried to stop it too. Like,
Okay. For me, one thing that really helped me with my hypocrisy was that I just took a look at other hypocrites, and whenever I caught myself, because there is this inherent need for denial. Whenever whenever someone calls you a hypocrite, there is this inherent need to deny that, and your mind is just grasping at straws, grasping anything you can find in your vicinity to like support the claim that you're not actually in denial. So, for example, whenever I haven't done enough work for the day and I'm just tired, then I think about all the other people that I would. Well, actually, I don't know. That's a great example. I look at all the other people that do more work than me, and my brain has that like inherent need to say, to do the excuses, like, okay, but I'm really tired, and so on and so forth. And so the reason why I managed to stay productive is because I realized that this isn't just me coming up with good reasons, good arguments for why I can't walk that day. Only this is just me being lazy and my brain trying to justify that. And you need to stop yourself from allowing your brain to justify this kind of thing. Otherwise, you will just face a lot of problems.
my brain does a lot of weird shit.
That's everyone's brain. Everyone does that. The annoying thing is that everyone is a hypocrite simply because everyone doesn't want to consider themselves to be a hypocrite. The whole thing you say when like you say everyone is an idiot. Well, not really. Not everyone's an idiot. Most people aren't. Most people are really clever. Is that it's useful for us to think ourselves because we like to think of our own position as more special and more unique than position of other people. Like, the problems of other people are trivial, but when they happen to us, that's the tricky bit. The most common example is the whole every abortion is immoral except for mine, where there's a whole list of anti-abortion politicians who still got an abortion, simply because they thought that their case was special, whilst everyone else is obvious. Fighting against this kind of thing is not easy, but, well, the only way to do it will be to just be more open-minded. The thing that worked for me is I just stopped making excuses as much as I could. So basically, once again, me being tired isn't an excuse because there are a lot of people who have done the same work as I did, And if they've done it, that means then them being tired in something. I really don't like complaining. I get the aspect there where I'm complaining about complaining, but I mean, I really don't like complaining. Personal pet peeve of mine, I really hate it. Because whenever people complain, to me, it always feels like just them having a good life and just not appreciating it. And that's what it always stems for. It always stems from this inherent hypocrisy thing. Let's go. Don't know, that's the wrong one. This is the right one. Number like 50. That's a bit of a bad number choice. Let's pick something a little more. There we go. 105.
Would venting about a topic count as complaining?
Would
Because
would what?
venting about a topic count as complaining?
Well, depends how you see it. Depends
Because,
what kind
like-
of venting.
Like very often when I just get super annoyed and just start listing everything that is like wrong with something and why I absolutely hate that thing, at first like let me let out my emotions so I cool down, and then because I said my thought out loud, I actually see stuff through, so like uh, so I'm like so everything is better organized in my head, so I can after that I can approach the problem better, so it's like both helps me calm down and helps me see through the problems way better. But for that it just helps to like aggressively say what's wrong with everything for like 5 minutes non-stop.
I suppose that depends on the person. I personally don't vent. Well, I mean, as I mentioned, it depends on the person. If you want to see, you can go and see in the venting channel. That I've never once vented there. I did shitpost, and I did try to be supportive of people, but I didn't re-vent. I don't like venting, but I don't want to be fun police. If it helps other people, more power to them. It just doesn't really help me. Me, whenever I vent, I just feel like I'm bitching about for no reason.
I don't know, I don't know. Venting is the same as like cussing. Like when I stub my toe and let out a loud "oh fuck," then that's also a form of venting, and I don't know, it feels good.
No, whenever I start like complaining about stuff, I instantly see it as it looks from the side of the other person. Like I see all of my complaints are very minor things, so I just don't go on with them. No need. I don't like complaining.
I think the all like I don't know. Like I hate when someone complains but then does absolutely nothing in resolving the problem. Like if you already know that this is a problem and then just know it enough to say it out loud and just do something about it. But
But you
yeah, so,
see,
like,
but what if someone is complaining about the problem that would be really difficult to solve? And so they don't solve it, they still complain about it, but that's because the problem would be really difficult to solve. What then?
I mean, I suppose it's fair enough, but
But then would you give him a pass or would you not?
I mean, like no, like okay, I don't say like solve a problem because as in like solve it in a way like I don't know, you can like I could complain about not having world peace, but that problem is like not really solvable all
So
with my resources. So
where do you personally draw the line?
I mean, I don't.
Because I see it differently. I just see it in a very simple way. Everything in life is a trade-off. Absolutely everything. No matter what you want, it will always be a trade-off. You trade one thing in for the other. And when you like the benefits of something you've done, but you complain about the downsides, that means I don't like that kind of complaining. So now this,
Yeah, no,
for most people, it's a given because the obvious examples are obvious. And like everyone would agree that complaining that you had to spend the money for, I don't know, the burger you bought, then that's obviously dumb. Everyone would agree that. However, it really often also comes into more niche things. Like, for example, I don't know, a friend of mine complaining that they have no time because they like have a lot of uni work. I don't respect that because going to a university is a choice. And I think that everyone, when they go to university, should acknowledge the fact that they will need to work some more, they will need to learn more. And as such, I don't think they deserve to complain about having a lot of work. That's why whenever I mention how much work I have to do, I would try to frame it as me being lazy and not as me complaining about how much work I have to do, because it's a trade-off. I had the choice to do what I do right now. It was a choice of mine. I knew the risks, I knew the problems, and as such, I don't deserve to complain about a lot of work I have to do.
Okay, on one hand, it's pretty much I never like I never complained about uni being too difficult. I did complain about like the I don't know teachers being shit or something because that's not what. And I signed up for a really good, supposedly really good university for the teachers to be shit. Like
In that case, you do get a pass. The
But
same
I
thing
don't-
as people who, where something tragic happens to people, they get to complain all they want. They deserve it because that wasn't a part of the trade they made. In my opinion, that my biggest pet peeve is when people don't take the bitter with the sweet. When they get something good but refuse to acknowledge that the good part is a necessity of the bad part. You need both.
Mm.
That's what pisses
Yeah, I
me off
mean,
the
I
most.
never I don't complain about uni being too hard or it being too much work because that's why I came. That's why I chose this path because I want to do this, and if I'm passionate about something that I shouldn't, oh my god, I have to spend too much time on my passion. Whoa, me. It's just yeah. Uh, but like there are also people who like. Uh, would prefer work over getting higher education, but in the region where they live, without a higher education, they cannot work something that pays well enough to actually lead a healthy lifestyle. So if they complain about too much uni work, I could actually see that because if they could lead a healthy lifestyle without like if it wasn't their necessity to do that uni work, they wouldn't. So
I've
it's
never once in my life met a person who uh, who didn't have a choice between learning and working, and they got stuck learning. Never once in my life. Because when you prefer to work instead of learn, it's much easier to find work than study in Europe. I've got to be honest with you. In America, okay. In America, I get it. In America, you don't really have entry jobs which can sustain you. But in Europe, with our workers' rights, I would say that people who want to work instead of learn are pretty well taken care of.
yeah,
I would know
yeah,
I am one of them.
yeah, but like I obviously wasn't talking about Europe. I was talking about yeah, like it can happen in the USA that yeah.
In other countries, well, I can't speak for them because I don't know how it works there.
Mhm.
But at least I
Also,
know Europe.
I'm pretty sure that Hungarian minimum wage is can't really or like can maybe support
I mean,
one
okay,
person, but
in
like
Hungary it can be shit. However, it's not really about the minimum wage. It's about like the policies in place. So I'm not saying that in Hungary as well because it's probably not. I'd imagine, but you don't need a high minimum wage in order for like this kind of lifestyle of just working without an entry job. So for example, in America the minimum wage is way higher, but it doesn't really matter because of how the economy is basically set up there. First of all, everything is more expensive, which is the obvious part. But basically, you don't only want a job which pays well. You want a job that will pay well in the future, as in you want the chance for growth. That's basically what everyone who works, who likes working, wants. They want a job that can provide future benefits and so on and so forth. And for that, you need certain entry jobs which enter you into a market. So basically, for example, if you want to be a lawyer, then eventually one day you're gonna be great. You're gonna be really rich. You're gonna be powerful. You're gonna be mighty, and so on and so forth. And but that's one day, and that's why the entry jobs for lawyers actually suck. Like being minor, not even minor partners, only associates, I think they're called. I don't remember. But the point is, we're basically, as you begin as a lawyer, you work like 16 hours a day. You don't get, you get basically no time off, and so on and so forth. Just keeps going. It's absolutely terrible working conditions. So even though the minimum wage is still high, that doesn't matter. Your job is still going to be extreme. And the problem is that when you don't have those kinds of jobs, then this can really happen. So for example, minimum wage in America can be really high, but if all the jobs with minimum wage are like fast food workers, then even with a high minimum wage, that's not really great because, well, what are you going to do as a fast food worker later on? We're going to get promoted into a fast food manager? Like, it's a short term, it's not bad, but I mean, people who want to work for a living, they want longer term.
yeah.
So I would say it's more about like policies taken in place and the incentives given.
It's a lot of things like policies, wages, how well can you sustain yourself from that wage, because like yeah, but healthcare is how is my poll doing in intern chat? Still balanced.
Oh, we're only 3 hours in. It's pretty good.
I'll be back in a minute.
Yep. I could actually try to get pretty close to finishing this video today if I do enough. But that's only if I do enough. And I might not. Let me think. What would I need to do today? Finish the script? Actually, we're pretty close to finishing it. I need to pull some strings, which get some stuff done, but that's a maybe. Oh, 0.3 is still too big. That's great. 0.2 then. Okay, this is all keyframed as well, that's good. That's because all the Y positions have to be like this. And then the memory, and then the storage, and then the bulk on the right. It's a bit off-center, actually. It's a bit not really... Yeah, it's not really centered well. Fine, whatever. It's fine, should be division between there's mother. Now, what else do we want? Well, we want to keyframe actually everything, along with the colors. We can actually increase this ever so slightly. And the reason why is because if we increase this and if we offset every single one, then they won't overlap, which is a good idea. And then, why is Timon muted? He went for something real quick. And then this, we want to be yellow, with like a higher value. Then the second one we want with like a 5, and we want it to be reddish. This one is a storage of a 2, or maybe a 1 actually. And this one at the very end, that's bulk, which means very dim. There we go, render. Pretty slick.
I'm back.
Hi, welcome back. Hold on, let me check out my veggies for a second.
Immoral, I went to the toilet.
They should taste good. I haven't finished eating them, because I had to start the stream. Alright, where are we reading this? Okay.
I'm eating cake right now.
What kind?
The thing I sent a pic of a few years ago. Years?
It's a pretty old
Days
cake.
ago. It just has like chocolate and coconut stuff and stuff.
How much cake have you got? Damn.
The entire cake, like they miscalculated the amount of desserts, so they just sent me home with an entire cake.
You got me in the mood for cake. The problem is that cakes are expensive. Famously so.
I can give you the recipe for this one.
But how can we cook it?
It doesn't actually need to be cooked.
Oh, it's one of those
It's,
cakes.
Do you know the I think it's called coconut ball or something that yeah, coconut balls. You know them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's and you know how they're made, right?
No. Actually, take it back. Hold on. Let me look up coconut balls, because I don't know them. Coconut balls or balls? With a W or an A?
B-O-L-L.
So with a
Like a sphere.
B-O... B-O-L-L?
B-A-L-L.
A-A-L-L, okay. I said B-O-L-L.
Whatever.
That's why I asked if it was with an A or a W. Yeah, I know these.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know how they're made.
I don't know what they're made of, but I imagine they're just rolled into balls.
Yeah, so like it's
You need.
you don't actually have to bake these. Like you don't have to put them in the oven. You just have to like mix the materials and just roll them into balls. And it's the same thing but in cake format. So it's like made into like circles that are like stacked on each other and just turned into a cake.
Condensed milk, coconut. Wait, is that it? Is it just a coconut? Okay, it's just coconut with condensed milk.
No. There are like at least this one has like do you know how what they're called in English? The um domestic cookies. Do you have those?
No idea what they even are.
They're like very plain the at most very plain kind of like biscuit kind of things, like very that are like extremely plain, and you can just use them as basis of. Does it have a wiki page? No, it doesn't. Like these are like basically cookies you use to make more cookies.
Cookie crumbs? The cookie crumb butter? Not the butter thing. Only I heard people refer them as cookie crumbs only. I don't know if that's the same thing.
I mean, yeah, you can use cookie crumbs. Like they are not the same as this. When you look up cookie crumbs, it's just American stuff. It's not the exact same, but something like that. Just from a very different kind of cookie that doesn't have like chocolate chips and stuff like that in it, and it's like slightly different texture. So yeah, and you just get those cookie crumbs and mix them with like stuff like butter and coconut and cocoa powder and sugar and whatever you like, and just roll them into balls, and that's how you make coconut balls. And this is the same but in cake format, and like one layer has chocolate, one the next doesn't, so it like looks nice. And yeah, that's about it.
Then each iteration has to offset them, which means why is the first one moving as well? It shouldn't be. Stay right there. It starts at iteration 2? Okay, now this makes so little sense. It starts at... Why would it start at iteration 2? I think Blender is passing it in some kind of weird way. Because this number on the very beginning... This should be a 0, but it's a 2. It makes it very tricky. And the bounding box is in the wrong place again. No. This is incorrect indeed. That's because it's actually supposed to be shifted left. Bounding box is overlapping, which means that in the negative. Oh, that's great. That's just great. Or is it because we moved it? Oh, hold on. That could be actually because we first move it. Not like it's supposed to. There we go. Now it's correct. I knew something was off with it being a 2. And it was. Make it. Our book says that the wave function is a wave. Should I believe them? Yeah. I mentioned that in the video, one of them, that wave function isn't really a wave because it's a wave, only it's a wave because we treat it as a wave. So basically, any function is a wave if you think of it as a wave, so that's like the more important part of it. We treat it as a wave. We assume that it always has a wave function, or a frequency, or whatever we want to call it, the wave number. And so that's why it's always a wave. Oh, in relation to the when put it to the origin, min-max will just tell us the min and max. Then we have the middle. Of course, this. Yes, of course. Then we have the middle, and you want distance of origin to the middle. Wait, so -2 should work in this case. What's happening? But they are backwards. They very much are not. Minimum, maximum. Subtract the maximum from the minimum. Divide by. Wait. Shouldn't matter. Then this. Subtract from it, which means it should go this way. Then divide by 2. It should go from the origin, which means dividing each one by 2 should give us vector right here, which moves the opposite way. Yes. Except no. Because this moves them right. That's because we should be minimum minus the maximum to move it left. Then dividing it by -2 moves it there, which isn't actually what happens. Oh, I see. They flip around this point. I do them backwards, however. They flip around that point. That's nothing, right? Yes, okay, correct. Good. Should I try to finish the video today?
No.
Where am I of the video? Let's see. Because this chapter is gonna be a bit tricky. This chapter isn't even scripted yet. It's really close.
The video is always better quality when at the end you're well rested, when you like double check stuff at the end and stuff like that.
Did you like the Quaternions video?
Yes, a lot.
I did not, in fact. I was not, in fact, well rested when I finished it.
I didn't say it's always like 100%. Like all your videos are great, so like, but still,
That's probably true. I want to go get some cake. I'm hungry. I'm hungry for cake right now.
well, you got me hungry for veggies, so
It's not fair. Veggies are cheaper than cake. I know. I haven't got cake in. Oh my goodness, how long? When was the last time I had cake? A year ago, I think I visited someone. I think I had some cake. I don't remember when was the last time I ate cake. Okay, I'm gonna go get some cake because I want to, and then I'm gonna use it to script the video.
I'll do the same but with veggies.
Alright. Well then everyone, I suppose for now that'll be it. Thank you everyone so much for watching and have a great day. Bye!